Hey folks, today I want to talk about another favorite poem of mine, Countee Cullen's Incident. This video is going to be a little bit different because I'm not actually going to read or perform the poem for you. And I have provided a link down in the description of someone reading that poem. And if you are familiar with the poem, or if you go to somewhere and you read the poem, or if you listen to that performance of it, you might be able to figure out why. And it's because of the language. I don't object to the use of that language, but as a language teacher, one of the things that I really do believe is that language has power and that the meaning of words matters, and that our choices about why and how and whether we use certain ways of expressing ourselves, those things also matter. This is a poem that I probably would not use in instruction right now. And it would be one that I would be putting my job and my career at risk if I did, because of that language and because of recent legislation about the issues that that raises. They are conversations about race in this example specifically are ones that I think are important. They're conversations that we need to have. But at the same time, we need to be aware of who we are and what our role is. And as a teacher in a public school, I am effectively a representative of the government. So I have to be I don't have to be. I should be really, really careful and thoughtful about how my role as a representative of the government influences what I share with my students. And I should be really, really thoughtful about that all the time. Like, that is part of, not part of who I am, but it's part of the context of this environment. And ignoring that is unprofessional, and I would even argue unethical. It is so important for us to be aware of those sorts of things, that we don't only speak for ourselves, but at the same time, because we want to build relationships with our students, it's also important that we speak for ourselves as well. And we need to be clear about when we're speaking from personal experience and when we are speaking as a representative of our government. This is what our community, our state, our nation expects from you as students. So all of that's really, really important. The use of the N-word in this poem is a deliberate choice. And in a poem so brief, it is exceptionally powerful. The choice of the use of the memory in which the speaker is a child at the time, I think also adds to that power. I think part of the reason that this poem resonates with me so much is that I forget things, and I don't actually remember a lot of my childhood. And sometimes it's really weird, like what you remember and what you don't. Song lyrics, just the other day, I was talking about some other stuff, and a song that I had learned that had not been taught to me in high school. It's part of the men's chorus. It is written for 4-part guys harmony, and they weren't even learning it for class. It was part of what the district chorus, I think, at the time was learning, and the guys learned it, and I heard them rehearsing it. I thought it was cool, so I learned it as well. And it's in German, which I hadn't had any instruction with at the time at all. And this is now 20, 30 some year, I don't know how many years later. And it's there. It's there. I have one stanza that's just gone. I found it online, despite the fact that I can't spell in German worth crap. But I found it online. I was like, yes, it's this. And I listened to it a couple times, and it's just all of a sudden, I'm just right back there in the junior high school cafeteria, which is where the senior high school choir members rehearsed, because I don't know, that's just the way it was set up. And all of a sudden, I'm back there. That memory has been gone for years, and just all of a sudden, it's back. But there are other things that are a part of my childhood or my youth that literally other people have told me about. And even after being directly told, seeing photographic evidence sometimes, I'm just like, yes, I recognize that I am in that picture. I remember vaguely at this point that this thing did happen, but the memory's just not there. And then there are some other things, some other events that like I can pick out, and I know why they're important. They're things that affected me in pivotal ways that to an outsider may seem incidental, but are just very telling. One of them, Mrs. Sladitsky. One of the things that in English, 9th grade, one of the things that was interesting and somewhat unique about my junior high school English career was we did focus areas in writing. So for an essay, there would be 3 things that you were graded on. If, for example, spelling was not one of those 3 things and you made a spelling error, wouldn't matter. If capitalization was not something that you were being graded on and you didn't capitalize the first word of a sentence, wouldn't affect your grade at all. But if capitalization was one of those things and you made a single capitalization error, that was 1/3 of your grade. Like a single mistake in the focus area meant you got no credit for that 1/3 of the assignment. And that's a lot. And so we did a descriptive essay, and I wrote about going swimming at the beach and the way that when you ducked your head under the water, everything changed. It was like entering a different world, and the sound changed and the light changed and the sense of movement all changed. And then when you came back up, again, that barrier shifted and instantaneous. There's a moment of splash, and then all of a sudden you can hear conversations in a different way. And so I described it. I still have it. I still have this essay. It was written out on composition paper, written out by hand. And she read it in front of the class, and she talked about my use of language. I don't remember whether that was one of the focus areas or not, but I just remember being just like, not so much proud that she read it to the class, but that it had caught her in that way, because when she read it like, this is really neat. And that was really cool. And then she handed it back and it had a 67 on it, because at the very end of the essay, the last word was to, and I had written T-O, and it should have been T-O-O. And spelling was one of the focus areas. And I remember that I went up to her and I tried to convince her that it was actually homonym confusion. I'd meant T-O. Like this is the place I'm going to. She's like, you used the word to as though it means also, and that is spelled T-O-O. And I am confident that you know the difference between those 2 words. And I was, the thing is, I was so sulky about it, but she wasn't wrong. and I didn't know how exactly I could convince her of that. I still don't think I could have made her buy it. As effective an actor as I can be, I don't think that would have worked. She was too savvy for me, and that got under my skin as much as anything else. That moment is so vivid for me for a multitude of reasons. And we see the same thing in Incident. This one moment that carries so much meaning in so many different ways. It's from another child. Everything else about that visit is gone. And that one moment has stayed with the speaker his entire life. I love the simplicity of the language, the way that an incident that seems so unimportant to anybody else, the way it can shape us and influence us long after that moment has passed. The way that it encourages us to be deliberate and judicious and careful about how we interact with others. The way it encourages compassion and kindness. All of these things are things that are really important to me already. And so seeing that echoed in a poem so elegantly, so with deceptive simplicity, something that seems simple and yet has this underlying depth to it. It's absolutely magical. It offers us an opportunity to critique the way that people interact with each other based on race in a way that doesn't have to be harsh. I don't think the kid who said that was trying to be hateful. Does that mean that it wasn't a racist act? Obviously not. But there are some really, really wonderful opportunities for conversation among people who trust each other. And that's one of the reasons why I would be very, very cautious about using this in the classroom at all, and why I don't think I would use it in the classroom right now. Because given the current political climate, I don't think it's possible to create that much trust within one semester. And I think that assuming that level of trust when you haven't earned it is not right. So I would encourage you to visit some of the links down in the description and see what other people have had to say about this. Share some titles of poems that have been really special for you, or some memories of your education where you've had a poem that you just really didn't like, or something like that. You know I love comments. Tell me what you think. And above all, have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.